back to the IT Uni Guru. This is John. We're going to look at how we use our time on campus today and talk about how the memory works and how quickly we should review. So, how often should I review and what do I need to do to make things remember? Well, if I go a whole day without looking at a new material, I will forget, right? I will only remember 50% of it. If I go a whole week, I'll only remember about 30% of it. This is if we don't look at it again. If we go 2 weeks, I'll be down to less than 20%, and if I don't look at it for 3 weeks, I won't remember anything. I may as well not have attended the class. If, however, I review within the hour, so you sit through a class, you take your notes, you then quickly have to move on to another class. If you've got space in between that, well and good. Get to somewhere quiet where you can review and tidy up your notes. And if you can't do it immediately, ideally you want to be able to do this within 24 hours of having attended the class. This is what it will do to your retention. Okay, not quite. And how often should I review it? Once within 24 hours, once again, so a second time within a week, a second time within a fortnight, and by the time you get to looking at it for the fourth time within 3 weeks of first having come across the content, it should be more like a revision test rather than actual relearning or remembering. And this is what your retention rate will look like. If you review it within 1 to 24 hours, you'll keep about 75%. If you review that material again in a week, you'll jump to about 85. If you review it again within the fortnight, you'll jump to about 95 or better. And that's all it takes. Right? An hour, and it's all there forever. You can never need to spend any more time committing it to your brain space. So how does this work while I'm actually on campus? Well, from our previous lecture, this is what a standard Monday looks like. You've got an 8 o'clock accounting lecture, a 10 o'clock systems lecture, information systems lecture, a 12 o'clock statistics lecture, and then law from 2 o'clock to 3:30, and then from 5 o'clock till 6:30, and then you go home straight after class. You can squeeze in an hour in the gym with half an hour to get changed and whatnot in between. This is what we should be doing. So with that hour between accounting and information systems, you can lose 20 minutes or devote 20 minutes to reviewing your notes and tidying them up, have a 15-minute break, and then have 20 minutes to prepare for the information systems lecture. And then you've got 5 minutes left to move from wherever you're studying, ideally a quiet library or an unused room, to your next class, which would be information systems. Now, what would I be doing to prepare for the information systems? Well, at the very least, I would want to be reading the introduction of a chapter and the summary of what's going to happen in that lecture. And somewhere between now and the next class, I'd want to review my notes. So you're looking at what you've done last week, you're thinking about what's going to come ahead for this week, and then when you walk into class, you've got everything you need to do to proactively absorb the lesson. So what happens with the next part? Well, you've got an hour between information systems and statistics. So again, I'd use 20 minutes to review and tidy up my notes from the information systems. I'd have a 15-minute break, and I'd have 20 minutes of preparation for the statistics. Maybe a couple of exercises, maybe reviewing the concepts from last week or reading the concepts for this week. 5 minutes to move to class. Okay, we've got an hour between statistics and law. Well, I'd have 20 minutes to review and tidy up my statistics notes. Then I'd probably have a 35-minute meal break because it's going to be an hour and a half stint with the law. And then again 5 minutes to move to class. What happens next? Well, you hit the gym between between the lecture and the tute, and after the lecture, what do? Well, you got to get home because it's getting late. You've got an hour's worth of travelling. Can you read for 40 minutes on that time while you're travelling? Maybe you can, maybe you can't. What should you read? Well, maybe you could read your law. Maybe you could read something relaxing that's entirely unrelated, and there's your mental sharpening of the saw. Or when you get home, I'd be making 40 minutes time to tidy up my notes. Sorry, 20 minutes time to tidy up my law notes, and finding 15 minutes to plan for Tuesday. And given that you've got to squeeze in a meal and a shower somewhere, it might be a slighter later finish than 9 o'clock at night. It might be another half hour later, which means you really want to give yourself a half hour sleep in on Tuesdays, perhaps, if that's your thing. So what happens next? Tuesdays, first thing, I'd consider doing some law exercises and some stats, because today has a lot less contact time. You've got 7 unallocated hours on campus according to the schedule we knocked out. How are you going to use these unallocated hours? There's something to contemplate and to do, hey? So we've looked at the rate at which you forget if you don't review. But we've also looked at the rate in which you remember if you do review. So, of these things, what are 2 things you can take out of this session that you can apply immediately? How are you going to use your time between classes? Ideally, to review and prepare is the best way for your memory work. Next session, we are going to look at smart goal setting systems, and so how to achieve things through goal setting practice, the brought forward system, and the anti-procrastination tools. Yeah, should be a lot of fun. Okay, thanks for your time and your trouble. This has been John from the IT Uni Gurus, and we'll catch you in the next session.